Happy Saturday, Collective. I hope everybody had a great Friday. Friday nights are always really good, or generally they are for me. You got a sense where you can just kind of, like kick off your shoes, take a deep breath, and go, ah. I mean, that's if you work a regular 9 to 5, Monday through Friday job. If you don't, or if you're prone to work a lot of extra, overtime and things like that, maybe not so much. But don't forget to live while you're here too, guys. We're not here just to make somebody else wealthy or what have you. Of course, if you're starting your own business, you're going to invest a lot of time into it. That's the way it generally works, and there's nothing wrong with that. Again, but just don't forget to live out there. All right, so let's go ahead and look at the energy that we got throughout the week so far. Okay, and then I'll pull some tarot, and then we'll go ahead and pull some runes, and then some oracle cards. Now, first off, for Sunday, we pulled Yera. So that was the overall energy for Sunday, and that simply means year, harvests, sense of peace, possible legalities, and success in them, rewards, commitments, happiness, the fruits of your earlier efforts being manifested. Okay? So, again, very, very positive. On Monday, we pulled Ingwaz. And Ingwaz is the god Freyr's rune. He's the earth god, god of, masculinity and things of that nature. So, that basically means heroic or being a hero, the potential, masculine potential, freedom, male fertility, growth, virtues, strength, family love and warmth, rest, the home, relief, no anxiety presently, all loose ends being tied off. Again, very, very positive. On Tuesday, we got the gifting rune, Gibo. And Gibo means gifts, gifting, and equal exchange, balance, reciprocity, those kinds of things. But it also speaks of things that are non-materialistic, such as familial love and things of that nature, or eros love, romantic love. So talks about fortune, divine union, self-sacrificing, and the perfect relationship or partnership. Okay. It also talks about exchanges in terms of, and also including contracts. So some of you may be getting ready to sign a contract, maybe purchasing a new home, a new job, maybe you make music or something else, so it could mean a million different things depending on how many people are watching. On Wednesday, we got Ehwaz. Now, Ehwaz is basically about working in unison, okay? Whether it's, and they used to use the mental visual, if you will, of horses, since that was their main means of transport. And that's also one of the things that it means, transportation, moving, progress, things like that. But doing it in a harmonious fashion, like the rider and the horse working in unison. Again, if the rider and the horse are out of sync with one another, it can be a very uncomfortable ride for both parties. Or two horses, for example, working together, pulling a chariot. If they're not working in harmony, again, the ride could be very rough. So it talks about working together in unison, loyalty, trust, development, changes for the better, harmony, teamwork, ideal marriage or partnerships, working together. So again, awesome energy all the way up until Thursday. And that's exactly what happened when we pulled Thursday and Friday. So what did we get for Thursday? We got Manaz in reverse. Now, what does that mean? It means selfishness, feeling uninvolved, victimhood, egoism, narcissism. It talks about depression, feeling alone or wanting to be alone, feeling your mortality, a sense of blindness, self-delusion, cunning, slyness, manipulation. Basically, there is no hope, craftiness, and being very calculated. Now, I hope that's nobody out there in my collective. Okay? Now, for yesterday, what we pulled was Nauthis. Nauthis is something like a yin and yang type of rune in a sense. It talks about not only issues, problems, and so on, but the need for those issues and problems to make you stronger, more capable. Again, like getting cut or something like that, you build a scar, and that scar is generally tougher in terms of the skin than that skin that's around it. Or building up your muscles. You tear them down, you give them a chance to rebuild, you get a little bit stronger each time you do that, right? And that's exactly what that rune is teaching us. So the things that are happening in our lives that don't seem positive, they have a purpose. That's generally what it's trying to convey to us. Now, the pre-Saturday pull was for today, Sowilo. So we'll see what we get. And that's a very, very positive rune. It's like the sun card in the tarot deck. It's the brightest one there is. It talks about sun, or the sun itself, which is the life force. Victory, honor, clear vision, clarity, in other words, achievement, rest, goals being achieved, good health, available power for positive changes, success, contact with your higher self or your own unconscious or subconscious, your intuition, in other words, and elemental forces. Okay, those things that we generally associate being outside of ourselves. So that is the overall energy for today, but the overall energy for the week, as we remember, was Wunyo. Now, Wunyo is a very, very dark rune when it's in reverse, and that's exactly how it was pulled. It means dissatisfaction, misery, fear, impatience, sorrow, strife, a sense of feeling headstrong, alienation, again, a sense of being delirious, intoxication, demon possession, jinn possession, archonic possession, just possession of a very negative, or by a very negative force or energy. Rage, frenzy, and being berserk. So again, I truly believe that this energy we're talking about is about somebody within our sphere of energetic influence. Possibly, again, this third party that we're hearing about coming in, or this wolf in sheep's clothing that's coming in, trying to re-spark a old, flame kind of a thing, but they're not telling you they have this third party, for example. Maybe they're even married, who knows? But anyways, we have all that very positive energy. We have the reason why what seems to be negative things happening in our lives are allowed to happen in our lives. It's for our edification, for our growth, okay? And the very fact that we do have some very negative forces that are definitely within our energetic sphere of influence that we have to be at least cautious of, okay? So with that being said, now let's go ahead, pull some tarot and see where we are for today. See if the tarot matches the overall sunshininess of Sowilo that we got on last Sunday. Last Sunday. Alright, so what is the overall energy for the collective for today? Saturday the 19th. Last day of the week, please, this Sabbath day. And today is my 2.5 days of fasting, so my stomach starts rumbling. You know why. I haven't been eating much to begin with as it is, so this one's been particularly tough. I fasted as many as 21 days, before, but this 3 days has been kind of tough. So, but I'm hanging in there, so just want to let y'all know. Alright, so again, energy for the collective, and thank you. Energy for the collective. Alright, let's go ahead and cut them. Alright, so on the bottom we have, shit. Well, alright, well, I screwed up. I generally do what I can so I don't have reversals for the tarot, but we have the Four of Swords, which we pulled twice this week, but this time it's in reverse. So what does that mean? Overcoming stress and anxiety. So that's a more positive aspect of the Four of Swords. It says strength, fortitude, healing, relaxation, and reinvigoration. So again, a very good card. And that's on the bottom. So on the top, we get the Page of Pentacles. Okay? Now, the Page of Pentacles is a positive rune as well. The arrival of good news. Okay? On material things, especially success, being well-grounded, new ventures being realized, and staying focused at this time. So again, very, very good energy. All right, so let me get another energy, please, for my collective. That's our first one. Okay, so very good stuff. Very good stuff. And that's at the bottom. Okay. So I've got a mixture, a plethora of cards, upright and upside down. So let's just see what happens. I do that with the runes. I guess it's only right that I do it with the tarot too. It gives us a more accurate assessment of the energy anyway. With the tarot, there is no guessing. It either is upright or it's reversal. So you don't have to, as I've explained in the past, really trust your gut on what the 9 runes, especially, that come out the same regardless in terms of the symbol, the way it looks. But you still have to imagine and think and trust your instincts and intuition on whether that is, reflecting a positive or a negative aspect of that. All right, one more, please. One more energy for my collective. Okay, at the bottom I have another page. Okay, this one is the Page of Swords. Now, pages are generally, in terms of people, looked at as being very young, sometimes immature, things of that nature. Okay, but this talks about the delay of news or inspiration, patience needed, education perhaps, a sense of feeling paused in whatever it is that you're seeking to do or in the middle of, and time to be preparing or getting prepared for something. That's at the bottom. Okay. Okay, now at the top, what we have in the upright, the Ace of Wands. Aces are beginnings, okay? It's the new something or whatever. And wands typically represent fire. So this is a passionate card. And as you can see by the symbol of the hand over the rod, it can mean some, things in terms of sexuality as well. I'll just leave it at that. And it says the start of something new. Opportunities, changes, creative energy, inspiration, and good news. So we're seeing the yin and yang reflected here once again with the Page of Swords and the Ace of Wands. Okay? So again, depends on your decision-making processes, the things that you actually invest in, not just your thoughts, although that's where everything starts, okay? But also what you do. And it's what you do that really matters in this life. But thinking about something is also highly important. So I can't say that doing is the most important per se. It is to some degree, but everything that happens in your life starts up here, especially if there's emotional intent behind that thinking, whether it's positive or negative. Remember this, in terms of manifestation, the universe is non-judgmental, okay? It doesn't look per se at what it is that you're thinking. If you're thinking bad things, typically you're going to end up manifesting some bad things, okay? There is, however, other laws that go along with that those who practice the dark arts, even though those at the higher level in that practice, they do have understanding about that. So what they do to counteract that force is they show us in advance what they're doing. And if you watch movies from Hollywood, listen to the music and the entertainment industry and other things, they always, if you will, they give us what it is they're actually doing. We often just look at that as being entertainment or something that's simply created for our amusement or whatever the case may be, or to make a good movie. But in reality, they do that so that it is manifested, and you're even partaking and helping that manifestation because you have that visual in your head. You have their comments on that visual also from that movie or that music in your head. So you're helping them to manifest, and that removes the responsibility from them and puts it back on you, the ones who are going to be suffering as a result of these manifestations. So that's how the darker magicians at the higher echelon get away with it. How you can change that around is to realize one thing. And again, from using Christendom, and it's found literally in every other religious belief system that I've looked into, is the fact that we are, there is a sense of guilt by association. And again, that's what I just explained. And that's how you end up being the recipient of their evil, their magic. You make their magic happen, so to speak. But you can stop it cold too. You can stop it cold by, again, taking responsibility for your actions as well as your inactions. Sins of omission, sins of commissions, as the Bible itself would talk about. You're guilty by not resisting that something, whatever that something is. So we need to understand that, because we are in an epic battle. We truly are in this world today. And right now, it seems as though the bad guys are winning. And they have won up to fairly recently. But what we're seeing now is the birth pangs of their death, their demise. They are going to lose. And they are losing already. And again, we have a wave of righteous soldiers who are already here, who are realizing what they are basically here to do. And they're not just waking up, but they're already stepping in their life purpose. And as a result of that, and every single one of us that does that represents yet a manifold times 1,000, if you will, energetic resistance to them. Maybe 1 million. I mean, 144,000 divided by 8 billion, or 8 billion divided by 144,000. That should give you some idea just how powerful we actually are. So never submit, never give in, always go with your moral compass. And if you still need to change that moral compass, man, there's no time like the present. This is the time to do it, because I'm telling you, you can see the changes all around us right now. We can see literally not only seismic, things that are happening throughout the entire world. The entire rim of fire is on basically, it's shaking like crazy right now. We have Yellowstone basically showing a tremendous amount of pressure being built up there. Another volcano underwater off the west coast. So there is a lot that's going on right now. All these floods that are taking place, not just in this country, but elsewhere as well. So, and when I say this country, I mean the U.S., of course. So there is a lot going on in our world today to wake us up. There are a lot of things that are happening, and it's going to happen, I think, increasingly so, as the Bible would put it, like birth pangs of a child. The closer you get to that birth, the more frequent and the more intense are those birth pangs. So we need to wake up, because we were warned. And again, I use the Bible because it's the one I know the most, verbatim. So again, it talks about it's going to be like the days of Noah. And that means that people are going to be going about their business, trading, and not thinking twice about what's happening around them when all hell breaks loose at that last possible second. And people like us, we're trying to warn the collective and those outside the collective to wake up while you still can. Again, we're going to be met with that same type of resistance. It's going to be just like the days of Noah. And there is only a few that survived that, I'll say that reset that took place. There's been more than one reset. The flood is not the only one. And that flood story, by the way, is found in so many other cultures. In fact, every culture and every major continent. And the one that's written about in the Bible is found in much, much greater detail. If you look at the Babylonian, Mesopotamian, Akkadian stories and so on, looking at the Epic of Gilgamesh, and many other stories that are written about this subject matter. The names have changed, but the characters are certainly expanded upon, as well as the other details on that flood story. It's simply amazing. And when you realize, of course, that the Jews were captive of Babylon for 500 years or thereabouts, it makes sense why they adopted many of those particular Old Testament stories. All right, now I'm not taking anything away from Christendom. Like I said, I truly believe in Jesus Christ. Now, the Old Testament, on the other hand, again, I don't have the luxury of being able to expand on it too much right here, right now, but I'm going to be making videos on all of this. I'm going to look at both sides of every story that I can. I'm going to look at both, your typical Christendom, and I'm going to compare that to, let's just say, the Gnostic beliefs on those same subjects. I'm going to also expand on certain stories that are written within Christendom, both sides, as well as what they, how they look from maybe the Babylonian perspective, from the ancient cuneiform, and many of the other world's belief systems that are very similar. Again, with the character names changed and some of the so on changes. There's much to be said about the Hindu epic of the Mahabharata war and so on. That's just where the Bhagavad Gita comes from, where Krishna is teaching his number one disciple, Arjuna. And I've got some of those words tattooed on my hand, as well as the Om symbol written on my hand. I love Krishna, just like I love Christ. I love Odin. I love Zeus, because I see the parallels in all of these gods and goddesses, and my heritage, my culture literally covers all of them. The only ones that it doesn't expand upon are perhaps, the African and Asian. But that's not to say I don't respect them. I do. I truly do. I see even parallels there. But the character names have changed. And remember now, I think I did have a past life in ancient India. I even had a friend of mine that actually stated the same thing to me. And she's got, those abilities to look at things and see things in people that our ordinary people just don't seem to have or don't trust. So when she told me that, and she verified what I already knew and sensed in my life, this is why I have such a deep admiration and everything else for the Indian sense of spirituality, as well as the Christian and even the paganistic beliefs. I don't think they're exclusive one to the other. I think that's a product that's being taught because of how they were treated by those who presumably represent Christianity, not in my opinion. They're actually working for the other side in my perspective. But that doesn't mean those who practice that belief system are. Okay, and again, I know I'm getting off on a tangent, but I try to make my points as clearly as I can and not leave a whole lot of open doors for misconceptions and misunderstandings. Okay, so please just humor me, okay? All right, so one more energy, please, for my collective, so we can go ahead and do the runes and really fine-tune what's happening. One more, please. One more. And thank you. All right. So at the bottom, we have the Three of Hearts. That's like being stabbed in your heart, broken-hearted by somebody. What it means is it's a period of unhappiness, heartache, like I say, a sense of pain and depression, sorrow, maybe separation from a loved one, and trauma. Now, it doesn't always have to reflect a relationship separation in terms of love. It could also mean that of a sibling or a parent or something of that nature as well. So keep that in mind. Okay, so that's at the bottom. Now, at the top, what I pulled is the Four of Cups. Now, the Four of Cups is basically feeling like a sense of monotony in your life right now. Boredom, depression, maybe loss of focus. And we're seeing reciprocity in our energy here in terms of that. Feeling stress, anxiety, things like that. Lack of inspiration or delays in the Page of Swords. So we're seeing reciprocity there. Feeling stagnated and so on. Again, that is reflective of not only the overall energy that we pulled, okay, the overall energy that we pulled, again, for the week is Wunyo in reverse, and that's all negative energy, right? Okay. And when I say negative, remember now, if we're looking at a line of things, just like black, white, good, evil, male, female, whatever the case may be, and that's not to say one gender is evil, one gender is good, not at all. It just means that the extremes and differences of those things are on a line, okay? So you have to the left at the extreme one thing, you have at the extreme on the other side the other thing, but they're on that same line. They're just different extremes of that one thing. So it's not necessarily evil in the sense that we normally would see it, although there is what we would call, of course, a sense of evil, where you go beyond, just going beyond. You're hurting others. In other words, it's not just a form of, for example, the devil card, for example, in tarot could represent things like addictions. It doesn't just mean an evil force, if you will, but things that we associate with being perhaps on the most extreme side of that line, the devilish side of that line. Now, again, those are like the 7 deadly sins, if you will, on this side, where whatever sense of spirituality you practice is on the opposite side of that, right? Now, in the middle is the balance that we're actually striving for, because we all have a dark side and we all have a positive side until we have given that side up. Once you've given that side up, you become an empty vessel, and you allow, if you will, again, using the metaphors from the Bible or stories from the Bible, you became basically like the holiday suite for the devils or the negative energy just to come in and occupy your vessel. And yes, that's exactly what the rune Wunyo in reverse means, demon possession, if you will. So we can see a lot of parallels with all of this. So it's incumbent to learn discipline, to learn how to be genuine, how to be, again, your 14 leadership traits: bearing, courageous, being dependable, bearing, courage, dependability, decisiveness, endurance, enthusiasm, using initiative and integrity. Integrity is very important. Good judgment and a sense of justice for everything and everybody, regardless of whatever situation or whoever they are. JK, knowledge, having sense of loyalty and tact and unselfishness. I don't think I missed them. That's 14 of them. But if you apply those leadership traits and attributes, well, then you'll be able to be very, very successful, whatever it is that you apply yourself to. Okay? All right, now with that being said, let's go ahead and call upon Odin, and we'll go ahead and look at some more energy with the runes. Odin, 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 Odin. Call upon mighty Odin. I call upon the Norns. I call upon not only the Norse gods and goddesses, but those of all, if you will, dimensionalities and belief systems from every culture that would choose to come in to edify my collective and to give us words of advice, wisdom, and also caution if necessary. And I thank you all in advance. Thank you. The first one for today is for the present, please. Present energy for today. Oh my God, unbelievable. Wunyo in reverse. Well, that's our present energy. Alright, well, and that reflects the negative aspects are at the bottom of the deck for all 3 cards that we pulled that were predominantly positive. Okay, again, the 3 of swords, unhappiness, depression, trauma, sorrow, separation, those types of things. We also see it in the Page of Swords. Again, the delays, again, lack of inspiration, lack of patience, things of that nature. And we also see it, again, with the overall energy that we got for the week with Wunjo in reverse. It's amazing to me. We knew things were going to go south in terms of the energy starting Thursday, and that's exactly what we've been seeing Thursday, Friday, and now for today. And we have positive energy as well, and lots of positive things coming our way, but again, it's telling us that those things which are negative that come our way, and we see that in the rune Nauthas that we pulled yesterday, even though it gives us many what we would call negative traits and so on that we don't want to happen in our lives, these things happen regardless. And it's happening for us to edify us. Once we've learned how to overcome them, we build those scars, if you will. We build up that muscle, if you will, make ourselves stronger. Then the next time that something comes along, we're already equipped to handle it far better than the first time, right? So that's what it's telling us. Now, can I get an influence, please? What are the influences, please, for the collective? And thank you. Influences, please. Influence for the collective. And thank you. All right. Oh my God, we pulled this now 3 times this week. Urus in reverse. That's not good either, guys. Now, Urus in reverse is the negative of, if you will, the health and vitality and strength that it would be in the upright. So it means weakness, illness, sickness, weak will, ignorance, and a sense of lust. Those are the attributes of Urus in reverse. And again, it's echoing very nicely, and yet not exactly optimistically, Wunjo also in reverse. Can I get another influence for my collective, please? Another influence for my collective, please. Another energy influence for my collective, and thank you. All right. Well, we have Perthro. Okay. So Perthro is a positive rune when it's in the upright, and it is in the upright in this case. So it stands for like games of chance. You know, that's what it means. Lot, dice, dice cup, games, gaming, things like that. The unknown. You don't know what the outcome's going to be when you start that something, right? So it talks about destiny, but it also talks about those things which are feminine as well, like the divine feminine, the vagina, you know, things which are hidden and so on, including their sense of intuition. We all say it, you know, and I've seen examples perhaps how a mother is very intuitive when it comes to, you know, her children. She can feel in advance when maybe some child that, who knows, could be thousands of miles away perhaps at the time, they can feel that there's something amiss or wrong with that child. And a lot of times it turns out to be highly accurate. That's what this represents. So that's not a negative rune at all. It's just telling us, again, just like, well, Gibo, for example, and so on. It's telling us to embrace our subconscious, our intuitive abilities. Go within, learn to meditate, and, you know, if you have a question about something, focus on that something and learn how to relax and listen. Just listen for the answers, okay? That's what intuition is. Okay. So, last we have is future. What is the future energy for my collective, please? Future energy for the collective, please. And thank you. Future energy. And that's whenever you watch this till roughly 12 in the evening that particular day, since I do readings every day. Okay? All right. Oh, awesome. Gibo. Now, this is one of the 9, and I strongly felt it the moment I grabbed onto it, was positive. So, that is our future. It's a positive rune. We got that on Tuesday. We're getting it again. And it means, again, reciprocity. It means gifts and gifting. All things in manner of exchange, including contracts. That could be while we're feeling downcast and maybe depressed. Maybe we're in the middle of some type of legal battle or something, and things don't seem to be going well. Again, pray to whoever it is that you pray to. Meditate and learn how to relax. It's not easy to do, especially when you're really anxious about something specific, but that's the best time. I mean, that's when you need to learn how to overcome these types of things. When you know that these things, these negative energies, you're dwelling on them. And for me, the best way to do that is to learn how to focus. Basically, I focus on all 7 chakras, the major chakras. Now, there's thousands of chakras, actually. But the 7 major chakras, your root chakra, are the one that's grounding, if you will. Okay? And you have basically your sacral chakra, your sex chakra, in other words. This is also where your creativity resides. You have your solar plexus chakra. And your solar plexus chakra is basically your angst, sense of courage and things of that nature, if you will, or lack thereof. Now, each of these chakras also has a color scheme, and it follows exactly what we have learned in terms of the resonance frequency bandwidth. So the lowest frequency is that of our grounding chakra, our root chakra, okay? And then the colors change. It's red at the root, it's orange at the sex chakra, and it's yellow at the solar plexus chakra. At the heart chakra, it's green. And of course, this is your love and so on. And not just physical love or the love, let's just say, of eros. It's the love of familia as well, la familia. So the family as well, all the different types of love that exist. This is where it resides. And again, it's green. And then you have your oh my God, why can't I think right now? You have your throat chakra, okay? This is your voice. And this is a light blue typically. Now that basically, of course, is your power. Remember, the power of life and death resides in the tongue. So the words that you use for both edification and for destruction, it's very powerful. And this is where my gift is, okay? The use of my words and writing and singing and making music and so on. So we all have different gifts. So, and again, you need to, from the lowest to the highest chakras, build them up and to learn how to center them. And this is why you meditate. And as you're meditating on those, and the word chakra means spinning vortex or wheel, if you will. So think of, for example, when you're thinking on your heart chakra, a green vortex or wheel that spins in a clockwise direction in your heart. And as you're focusing on that, you're literally putting your energy where your mind focuses, and it takes your mind off those things which are outside. And same thing with all the other chakras. Now when you get to your third eye chakra, now your third eye chakra is a dark blue typically, okay? Now it could be other colors as well, but more or less it's a dark blue. And when you're doing that, the same thing applies, and that's dealing, of course, with your pineal gland in particular. So most people's pineal glands, because of the resistance that's in this world, the evildoers who know it very well. In fact, there's a large statue of the pineal gland that they almost humorously say is just a large pine cone. It's represented outside of the Vatican. So, even those who are falsely representing the light side of that line that we keep talking about, and actually are working for the darker side, I will say. They know these things. And the pineal gland is what helps us to become both intuitive and also to tap into the next chakra, which what we call the crown chakra. And that's the one that deals, of course, with the spiritual realms, the higher dimensions. And basically, you can look at that as being violet or white. And again, it's also echoed in all the world's, art and things of that nature. We see, if you will, disciples in Christendom, when they're displayed on a picture or a painting, they usually have a white halo over them, right? That's more or less what it represents, okay? The white, or if you will, violet chakra that is roughly about 6 inches over your head, okay? The rest of them are basically a part of your actual physical makeup. If you focus on these things, and then you get into other things, you know, later on, which can both open up and stimulate, you know, for example, your pineal gland in magical ways. And I'm not going to get into too much here, but if you learn how to you know, meditate, and this is just one of many different ways. I mean, ancient Buddhism used to teach their youngest disciples how to just simply focus on the flame of a candle. You know, they would do that sometimes for hours. That's another way of doing it. And there's certainly a lot of different methods that you can look at in terms of YouTube that will actually guide you step by step through it if you're not in the custom of actually meditating. It's not an evil thing, I swear to you. There's nothing evil about meditation. No matter what those people who go along with what one person says or another and says they're evil, they do it without examination. So I use the words of an author that I find to be fascinating and very, very intelligent, Mark Twain. He said that many of these types of you know, people, these informers, are basically simply regurgitating, or they're echoing, you know, information from non-examiners who got their insights and information from other non-examiners of that information. They used only one source or circular reasoning to come up with a conclusion of something. Remember, we are to prove ourselves, if you will, worthy, like the Bereans did, by looking at all things that are available. Yeah, they were being spoken of about Scripture specifically. That is true. So it's hard for me to use that really to make my point. But the Gnostics, gnosis, wisdom, knowledge, I could make my point better there. It's just that there's a lot fewer people who are aware of the Gnostic understanding of things or beliefs. So this is why I use the traditional mindset in terms of spirituality when I speak to you a lot of the time. Again, at least until I've made my other videos to help people become aware and understanding of it. All right, so there's the energy with the tarot. There's the energy with the runes. Let's go ahead and look at a spirit animal now. What type of spirit animals want to come through and edify my collective today? What spirit animals want to come through and speak to the collective and thank you? Spirit animals want to come through and speak to the collective. I thank you in advance. I told you yesterday one of my favorite tarot readers was talking about how one of my favorite cats is actually spoke to me basically about they miss me, they love me, they're quite happy and content where they are now presently and all that kind of stuff. And, you know, I do. I miss them sometimes. And, you know, I don't care how that sounds. To me, my animals, the pets that I've had are like family. So, all right. So we have, the humpback whale. Whales are very magical beings as well. Very intellectual. And they have their own language, like do dolphins and so on. Very intellectual. And they're like gentle giants generally. This one talks about the singer. Okay, so it says, sing healing songs for the world. It says your inner navigation always guides you. It says nothing can stop you or keep you from your goal, and align with your purpose and the power in your soul. A little rhyme there. I like that. I like that. Well, since this is basically my mission in this world, to use my voice, both writing, singing, and speaking. I mean, this one definitely is reflective for me. There's others out there who are doing the same things, who are speaking boldly against the enemy. And for those of you out there who share this, I know the challenges, I know the opposition. So I say, you know, welcome, brother and sister, you know, and we will succeed in this. Don't ever give up. I encourage you to never give in, right? All right. Now, with that being said, let's go ahead and look at some hidden truths. Close this out with some love oracles, okay? All right. What kind of hidden truths does the collective need to know about, please? Hidden truths. Hidden truths. Thank you. Hidden truths for the collective. Thank you. Hidden truths. One more. All right, there it is. All right. I wish I could take back my words. All right, so somebody who obviously had words with, or had words with you, is feeling a little bad about that. So I don't know who this is in your life. Now, this could be reflective of a lover, maybe even the third party we've been talking about, or I should say that other person who wants to come back and maybe have a third party. Or this could be a sibling, again. It could be a child, it could be a mother, father, even a grandparent, whatever. So, but it's somebody that's obviously in your particular energetic field. All right, so one more, please. Another hidden truth for the collective, please. Thank you. I mean, I know exactly who these things are talking about in my life. Whoever it was that first came to your mind when you heard these things, saw the card, that's generally who it's for, okay? One more, please. One more. Thank you. Yeah. I remember every detail of that day. All right, and that could be good or bad. Whatever first thought came to your mind, that's the way it probably was, okay? And I say probably because you may be going back and forth with that right now. That's very typical until you've learned basically how to hone in on your intuition and trust it, okay? It happens quite a bit. But generally, it's the first thought, okay? It's just like when you're taking a test. It's usually the first thing that comes to mind that is usually, not always, the right thing, okay? Depends on the person and the circumstance. All right. What do we have as far as love goes for the collective? Please and thank you. Love for the collective. What can you tell me about love? And thank you. Tell me a little something about love for the collective, please. Thank you. Love for the collective. Thank you. Right, there we go. Heart with a key. It says welcoming love and meeting the one. Okay, this is obviously for the soulmate we've been talking about last 2 weeks. It says open your heart. You have to be receptive to something. You can want something all you want, but if you're not vibrating at that level of vibration to receive that something, or not feeling yourself worthy of it, well, then you have to work on that before you're actually going to see this come, or you'll end up losing that something. So this is what we need to focus on, and every one of you out there is worthy of love. All of us are. Getting together and a sense of feeling perfection. Okay, when you meet the right person, that's what you're going to feel. It's going to be a sense of ease, not somebody who's draining you, not somebody who's taking all your energy and things of that nature, but actually edifying you and giving back. All right, one more, please. One more, please, for the collective. Thank you. One more energy for the collective. Thank you. One more energy. Oh, this one came out. All right. This one is passion. It goes along well with the last one we pulled. So in terms of love, guys, it looks like we got some positive things coming in for us. It says insane chemistry. That's how you'll feel with your divine counterpart. But don't mistake that with just sexual lust. Okay? Chemistry has many levels. So you want to like each other equally, or you're going to feel that you love or like each other equally. And it says having fun together. It's very important too. Having fun and just living the moment. All right, collective. Well, even though we have things that we simply are going to have to overcome, mountains to climb, hurdles to get over, and things of that nature. That's life. It happens for all of us. So we have a lot of very positive affirmations and energy here to basically fall back on. So even though the overall energy of the day was the energy for the present as well, it looks like some very, very positive things are coming for the future. So hang in there and realize no matter how dark things are, it's not going to be that way forever. Okay? All right. Now, with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and close this out. And tomorrow we'll do the entire week as we generally do on Sundays. And for the remainder of this week, I hope you guys have a great one. And I wish you for absolute victory. And of course, I will see you in Valhalla.